This is kind of a difficult video, but these are kind of difficult times, aren't they? I've been doing some videos lately kind of pointing out some things with Trump and with things that are going bad. And I get this thing from people to stop focusing on that, to focus on what's good, and you'll feel better and accomplish something good today. Meanwhile, I get what they're saying, but it's kind of like you feel like you're in an airplane. You look out the window and you see you're headed for a mountain. You're going to crash. It's coming. It's inevitable. You look out the window, you see it. You've got everybody on the plane on the left side and the right side that are fighting with each other. Nobody's looking out the window. They're arguing back and forth, and sometimes somebody comes along and says, hey, just ignore all that stuff and focus on the good. Meanwhile, you're the one that knows we're about ready to crash. Won't you people wake the hell up? My name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video. Sometimes people get stuck seeing things that the vast majority of people can't, and they tell you, don't even focus on it. But it's kind of like sometimes you feel like somebody's standing there with a gun to your head, and there's nothing you can do about it. But it's not just to your head, it's to your family, it's to the world. This is metaphorical. It's a try to describe to somebody why it's hard to look at this stuff, but why at the same time you can't look away from it because you know you're aware. People that aren't aware of it, yeah, they're just living in their own little world. In this case, I'm just going to say that there's different brain types, and my particular brain type is one that I'm very aware. I see a lot of things. I'm aware of a lot of things. I care. I have deep empathy, and I'm stuck feeling this way. I can't just step back and go, I'm going to ignore all of this stuff bad over here and just go focus on something over here because it's good. I'm in a position in life where I am beyond that, where I see a bigger picture, and even though there's nothing I can do, that doesn't mean I'm going to sit and just sit, feel despair. I mean, I do feel despair because people are not awake. They keep telling you, forget about it, just look at something nice. Meanwhile, we're headed to a cliff, for crying out loud. For those that can see it, what do? I mean, there's a point where it's like why it's happening doesn't matter anymore. There's certain things that we see. The heartland who put Trump in charge is also the place who feeds the cities. Think about that. If you're in the city and you're going to the grocery store like I am and buying food every day, you are completely reliant upon that heartland for survival, the very same place that put Trump in charge. We've got this swing back and forth with, is a two-party system really a good thing? Look at what's happened in the long run. It starts out America is left and right, but they're very close together. They're not very different. At the end of election time, people would work together and work for America. Now things have swung back and forth. They've gotten bigger and bigger. People take for granted what we have. God bless America. Wouldn't God bless the world? You got some really kind of small thinking, honestly, when you step outside of it and look at it. However, within the mind of an individual, it's huge. It's as big as it gets. My flag, all that kind of stuff. And you'll find that around the world. There's people that actually step outside of that and go, you know what, Yes, I'm from the United States of America. Yes, I'm from Washington. Yes, I'm from Maple Valley. Yes, I attended Tahoma High School, but I am also an earthling, and I'm also a member of the Milky Way galaxy. I can be bigger than my little point of origin, my place. I can continue to grow bigger than that. How big do you want to grow? At some point, if you're that person, you say, you know what, it's not about countries anymore. It's about people. It's about who's good and who's bad. And how do we work to get along? Your mind is just someplace different. You're not so tribal. And the people that want to pull you in tend to be tribal-minded, lesser-minded, very judgmental people. So, we're stuck dealing with mindsets that don't function the same way ours do. If you were to look at an evolving group on the savannah, you would see exactly what's going on right now. The vast majority or you would understand what's going on if you can correlate what was then till now. Imagine that there's this large group of people living on the savannah, but we're very susceptible to becoming food for lions and things like that. Humans are pretty weak, and we're not fast as gazelles, and they catch gazelles, So what are we? We have to do something different for survival. And for the group to survive, you don't have a bunch of the exact same kind of brain types. There's different people that are optimized for different things, and we see that today. We see alpha males and females. We see the betas. We see a group of people whose ratio of brain types would be best optimized to take this group, and instead of there being a bunch of individuals in there, it's like there's structured, like it's a structured entity of people. The vast majority of the group is the center part, the reproduction engine, the hunting, the foraging, keep reproducing, hunting, foraging. Life is tough. It very much is so. And this group optimally does not function and look at what is right and wrong. They don't evaluate a lot. Their job is pretty much to protect that group. If something from outside gets in, it's a threat. You just treat it like a threat. You respond to it like a threat, and you kill it, whether it is or isn't. That would be the best thing for survival back then. The alphas, there's fewer of them, but there's also, this is where we fit in. We're the ones that are we can't stand the raucousness of the group. It's noisy in our minds. We can't turn it off. It drives us to the outskirts so that it's quieter. We can become our introverted selves, but we also have this larger awareness. We become evolved the first line of defense. You're the one that really is hyper looking around, has super sensitivity, is trying to keep an eye on the group. You rely on that group. That group can't go away, but that group drives you to the outside of it because it's yammering about. You're still eating, you're still reproducing, you're still doing those things in the group, but you're not really you're not a member of that group. Physically, you're doing your part to reproduce and to be part of the continuation of life. But optimally, then you step to the outside and you take on a different role. That's where this brain type is right now. This introverted, very aware, very sensing, very feeling, very sensitive to the surroundings. And people would look at you and say, "You're stupid." That doesn't even happen because it doesn't for them. They don't get it. They don't get it. I can actually think of a working example of that in my lifetime. In my later years, I was working on a government project putting portable weather stations on forest fires, checking for RH, a lot of different things. Anyway, and working out there, there's places where there's crews out there that are working, but the crews might be in a canyon digging line or something like that. They always have lookouts. There's somebody you're not working in the group that day. Your job is to be up on a high spot away from the group in radio contact, and you're constantly watching. If there's any danger, you see maybe something starts spotting up on the ridge, wind is starting to pick up, there's a change in something going on, and they're in danger. Your job is to constantly watch them and alert them and get them out of danger while they're getting the job done. Picture something like that happening back then, that would still be the same thing. You don't jump in and put your head into it because now you've suddenly lost awareness with what's going on the outside. You have to maintain that awareness at all times. All right, I also remember a time about 20 years ago talking to somebody on a fire that was assigned summer in Montana. Their job was to be in a lookout. The lookouts are changed out now to electronic and different things. But there was a point in time where there were people that were manning lookouts, watching for fires for like 3 months in the summertime. They'd get resupplied and things like that. But I was always told, and I never was part of getting a lookout, but I was told by the Forest Service and by the person that was in there that they test them for introversion and extroversion, that they always make sure to get introverts for the lookouts. They know that extroverts might put in for the job, but that they need to be around people, and introvert needs to be alone. So they know to even check for who is that. That's us again. You're out there watching things, keeping an eye on stuff. They're looking for that personality. We've got that still. So you're stuck. Anyway, there's fewer people that work that way. There's plenty of people that'll tell you it doesn't. Where am I getting at here? So now you take that today, and what do we see? So now that same sort of thing is in society, except that we're no longer living in those kind of groups, but you still see the fewer alphas taking charge. The group's getting bigger. There's the group that is really the Trump supporting kind of group. They're the ones that we don't like things from outside. Look around the world. It's just overcrowding. We're driving ourselves for people to move someplace. We're not putting ourselves in other people's shoes and understanding what it's like. I've got something good and somebody else doesn't. I don't understand why they're coming to try and take my stuff. People are looking for better lives. We did it too when we came here. Who was here first? The Native Americans. We like to ignore that. We do the same damn thing. This is a process that's going on that that can't be interrupted. That's why you look at it and understand it and realize that it's happening. That it's an evolutionary process unchecked, and that religious belief systems come on board and they become kind of justifications. Already this group needs to survive automatically within a Christian belief system or an Abrahamic belief system, we come preloaded, demonizing innocent others because you're not a part of my tribe, my belief system. It hooks right into the psyche of the human, and it hooks in perfectly, because that's how, when we're not civilized, we are that way. When we become civilized, we're still that way. Are we civilized? No, now we're using religion to mask it. That's not me wanting to kill you. It's God, you're a sinner. Sorry, it's not my fault. It's in God's hands. Meanwhile, that's your belief. It's you. That's what's happening. From that same group, reproduction. Not only do we reproduce, but you reproduce too. At the same time, that group will turn around and take all the unwanted children that are, they're grown in places where there's poverty and drugs and stealing and crime and all that kind of stuff, and become that, and they'll call them bad names and take them to jail. They don't understand this cause and effect of what's going on and how we're rolling along, just completely out of check, not watching and not observing, and we're just filling in every place. Let me be clear here. My own feelings are that humans have it in their DNA to reproduce. They're going to get to a certain point and they're going to have sex. It doesn't matter whether you're on drugs or whether you have a job or whether you're responsible or whether you have the capacity to take care of children or not. It doesn't matter. You could be homeless people on the street and you're going to have sex, because that's a human thing. You can't look at that and say they're being responsible or irresponsible. That's not addressing the issue. Sure, it's irresponsible, but what is it? There's a drive in there. They're not doing it because of sinning. They're doing it because they have a DNA drive. And if you don't look at it from the perspective of what's happening naturally, now there may or may not be a fix action, but to simply step back and say they're sinners, they need to have their children. Meanwhile, they have no business having children, but they're going to have sex and reproduce. Don't we need to think through that? And we're getting to a point where it's what's happening in the world. It's the United States has swung so far, so left and so right. I swear the left, you have given rise to Donald Trump, but it goes back and forth. I have a problem with the last 2 years. I've gone in for my physical, and a part of the form that I have to fill out before I go in for my insurance company asks me if I identify as a man or a woman, that if I prefer to, what gender to be referenced as and things like that. And I'm looking at this. This has never happened in my life. I am like pissed off that I have to answer these damn questions. What the hell? Whose business is it? It happens because of people. Here's what happens. People are gay that are born that way. People that are not gay but come up through childhood normal sexual play, experimental activity, then develop shame for it, and then live their lives hating gay people and putting them down, and the gay people wanting to have their rights, fighting back. This grows back and forth until the people say, I want to be called, I'm a man, I was born a man, but I'm really a woman, and you will address me as ma'am. Meanwhile, they got beard and mustache and makeup and dresses and all kinds of stuff, and you're like, what the hell? What is important in life, for crying out loud? Why can't you just be gay? I got no problem with it until you start shoving that in my face and making me adapt to something. The woke culture or whatever. If I understand the genetics that you can be born with in a male body or a female body, yet having propensities of the opposite sex. I get that. I understand in looking at myself, I never made a choice between whether I was going to like man or woman. It was automatic. I mean, that the teenage time, you look at the girl, you have to carry, you leave your shirt untucked and you carry your books in front of you, right? You have got no control over it. It's like, there's no question about what you're going to be at some point in time. And those are things that are wired into DNA. Those aren't like, what am I going to like here? Do I like boys or do I like girls? That doesn't happen. No. Did it happen to you? Think about it. It doesn't happen to other people either. Put yourself in somebody else's shoes and understand something. I can accept that. That's totally fine. To turn right around then and try to make me adapt to something when I'm accepting of you, but you're forcing me into some kind of a mental, that's not even, why don't I have to call you anything? Let's go, whatever your name is. We don't have to say ma'am, sir. Let that go. I don't do that anyway. Those are labels. We're just people here. But to have, then, so the righteous, what happens? We get this, it just swings back and forth, getting bigger and bigger. People forget the roots. We grow up not fighting for our country or having whatever, taking it. We got that same group that really hates the homeless situation. And while the left doesn't do anything to resolve it, the right really kind of helps drive it. Where are all the people coming from? Why are they homeless? What is the economy like? What is medical expenses? All of that stuff like? How much does your gas cost today? Your gasoline cost today? Yeah. Homelessness seems to be like that's what's going to happen. Absolutely. What happens in evolution, though, from that time where everything life was very difficult. Life was difficult until we hit the cradle of civilization, until hunting and foraging went to farming and agriculture, animal husbandry, and we began to develop, and suddenly there was a big boom. Religions and big monuments occurred all at that same time. We see that happening in society even farther back from Göbekli Tepe and the other Tepe. I don't recall the name of it. So we can see what has happened and how it's happened. And at that time, life was probably still difficult. But over time, we can look and see how people now can go to work. I don't have to go hunt and forage. I don't have to go wait and lay, and I don't have to get up at 3 a.m. and go find a deer and go hunt a deer. I can just go to the store. I can go to my job. Life becomes easy. Suddenly, life allows all kinds of adaptation into it because it is no longer restricted by the difficulty of life, because life has become much easier. It's become so simple that all of this can fit into it. And that's what's happening then. We're seeing this massive, it's just a massive fluctuation, I guess, in what you would call society and the way things are. But at some point, you realize, this is bigger than, you can see it happening, but you can understand that there's nothing you can do. It's like a big entity that you're a part of, and you have no control. You can understand what the entity is doing, but the entity doesn't listen to you. It doesn't care anymore. You just watch it going, damn it. These are all scales of something. You're the white corpuscle that is no longer effective against the size of the cancer. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. So, or that's what it feels like at some point. Anyway, boy, you can do this or that or throw all kinds of things at it. A two-party system swings so crazy for some reason that there's just, it's really evolution that is not recognized and not understood. But people aren't going to do that because evolution has a finality to it that supernatural beliefs do not have. There are psychological beliefs that comfort a person. And while your brain type is stuck looking for what is really there objectively and with an open mind, theirs are comfortable in that group. I'm being told this, I believe this, this makes me feel better. That's all I need to do right there. So that's the belief system, the religion takes the place of that. And it's comforting to that type of a brain type, which is it's the majority brain type, left or right. It is. Or globally. Yeah. I don't know how many Christians there are, but it is still the largest religion in the world. But it is also obviously the most diverse. What does that tell you? Are they following the Bible, or are they making the Bible follow them? It's kind of obvious. Yeah. Christianity tends to have the face of the ruling elite and those who empower them at that time. Christianity morphs with the people, with the beliefs, with time. Buddhism, Taoism, things like that do not. A belief that is looking outward to God, that empowers you, that one is always going to morph. And you understand that, right? You have a Buddhism or a Taoism. If you really get into those and understand them and practice them, you understand the unity of all. When you get into something like Christianity, you understand the superiority is taught of the practitioner over innocent others. It has a completely different outlook, and it functions different in society. Despite the fact that Jesus taught what the Buddha taught, he's not treated in that manner. He's idol worshipped by Christians who turn him into them. Sometimes people find that difficult to hear, but the language is different. Every bit of it is cryptic. When Buddha teaches karma, the real explanation of what karma is, everything is a karmic reaction. Everything happens in cause and effect. We're always living in karma. And that we can change our karma by changing something upstairs, the way that we're holding things in our mind to empty ourselves out. Karma is cause and effect. When we go to Jesus, what we hear is the measure you mete unto others will be likewise meted unto you. And that's because it's a mental process that we're holding on to, that if you look at is the exact same thing as cause and effect. Buddha teaches us to seek emptiness, and you'd go, well, that's weird. And Jesus says, blessed are the poor in spirit. Well, that's just as weird. They're both the same thing, one of them in Judeo-Christian language. We're living through the bundle of memories. That's our spirit. Once we interpret the material. If we don't interpret the material, how do you become poor in spirit? How do the meek inherit the earth? Yeah, there's got to be something to this that's different than plain language. That is meek internally. We have mental inner turmoil. The earth that we experience is our experience. The way we live life, the way our connection to our life experiences through our emotional state and our perception in our mind. That right there, is it pure or is it in turmoil? Jesus teaches the same thing, but if you worship Jesus instead of following his teachings, which the church tells you to do, but not Jesus. Jesus never says, worship me and I got this for you. But that's what the church basically it comes down to. And that's why Christianity is so diverse. People are what they are. They believe Jesus and then say, okay, now I'm a Christian. They don't change who they are. And bingo, you have thousands upon thousands of various denominations that don't even look alike. I give you Christianity. Idol worship without an idol. Yet, very secretly, nesting encryptically in Judeo-Christian verbiage, the same teachings as the Buddha and Lao Tzu. The religious beliefs are the psychological barrier to a human to see at a deeper level, and they're not going to. So that's what's frustrating. You can see what's going on, and you can even see in their religion what they're worshiping. You can see that it is structured on a psychological pattern that they're not following, and they cannot see that. So what would I say in a nutshell? If I was from way outside looking and observing Earth for a long period of time, I would say that this one point in time in Earth's history, humans evolved into this into this creature that really filled up everything. It made it through evolution to the point that it now took control over its environment. And in doing so, it continued to evolve, and it is now, I would look at it and say it is nearer the end of its time than the beginning of its time, because it's exponentially increasing in the intensity of the conflict on Earth, as well as the population, as well as the internal strife, the media, all of those things all exacerbate this issue, where it appears to be. I would step back and say, if I was told to put it in the simplest terms, I would say they're still evolving, and they're overcrowding. And they're denying that that's what's happening. Therefore, there's going to be a collapse, imminent. When? I don't know. But it's closer to the end than the beginning. What do? Now you're in that. You're not just observing it. Yeah, that's not fun. Anyway, nobody wants to see that, do they? But if you see it and you can't unsee it, you're stuck. All right. See you in the next video.